Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. You can follow the show on, you can text me anytime, day or night, 706-889-9700. 706-889-9700, chief@FetcherNews.com. And also you can follow us on Twitter @FetcherNews, @FYNTV, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, FYNTV Fetcher News. And don't forget, today is Thursday. That means tomorrow morning, Friday, I got to check the weather, but this may be our last outdoor show at Sycamore Crossing in Blue Ridge. The following week, Friday week, I think that's how you say it, we will be at Circuit World. We'll be at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. So tomorrow we're at Sycamore Crossing. We have Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley at 8:10 in the morning. At 8:30 we have the All-Star Political Panel. We have a different side of this All-Star Political Panel. In fact, if you're a woman out there, I'm looking for women to join the show tomorrow. So I want to know if you're if a woman out there would like to join the All-Star panel, no guys, okay, would like to join me on the All-Star panel tomorrow and discuss what we're going to hear today at this hearing, what we have heard thus far from these accusers. I would love for you to join us. So if there's a woman out there listening, 706-889-9700. Text me if you would like to join the panel tomorrow. So that being said, let's go to number 21 here. The President of the United States held a press conference yesterday. And we're going to go to that video in just a minute there, Josh, so you can have that ready. And I think I gave you the time where I wanted to start the video. But the President of the United States held a press conference yesterday. And in the press conference, okay, it was an hour and 20 minutes. I listened to it at 4 o'clock this morning. I watched it. And it was really good. He was like a pitcher that got the perfect game in. He played both sides. I mean, he was hitting the ball out of the park. He was swinging and hitting it out of the park. And, you know, he pitched the perfect game yesterday at this press conference. Just did an outstanding job. They tried to box the guy in. You know, every once in a while, a question about China would come up. Every once in a while, a question about socialism would come up, Venezuela. Every once in a while, a question about Justin Trudeau and how, hey, we don't care if Justin comes on board or not. We will have a trade with Mexico. We'll put a tariff on his cars. And, you know, forget Justin. Every once in a while, something like that would come up. But most of all, they tried, and I took some notes, they tried to pin the president down about the accusers. All right, so let's go with the video here from the press conference yesterday. First of all, I want you to look here. Now, wait a minute. I want you to go to one picture, Josh, for me. Number 20. Okay, and this is number 20. I forget this young lady's name, but I'm going to set this up because of what you're about to see. Jim Acosta, CNN is just staffed with total jackasses. That this is a non-story. I cannot believe the traction a non-story is getting like this. So let's go to the video and come back when I tell you to come back on it.
What he did, I've ended much of it, most of it. I don't like what's happening in Cuba, and I certainly don't like what's happening in Venezuela. Yes,
Mr.
please.
President.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, just to finish really fast, you said also that you had a call to action to ask the leaders around the world to also end socialism. Would you like to be recognized as a
Well, I wouldn't say that socialism has been working really well around the world. Okay, you can take a look at Venezuela as your number one, I guess the one that's most obvious. But you take a look around the world, socialism is not exactly riding high. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, after I'm finished, if Weija or Hallie or Vivian or one of our female colleagues could go after me, that would be great. Mr. President, just to follow up on these allegations against Brett Kavanaugh.
What does he mean by that? Explain. What does that mean?
I think it would be great if a female.
What does it mean? No, what does it mean?
It would be great if a female reporter would ask you a question about this issue. So if you don't mind,
I wouldn't mind that at all. No, wouldn't mind it at all.
All right. Well, let me. If I
wouldn't make any difference to me.
All right.
Go ahead. To me.
All right.
Go ahead. To me.
All right.
All right. We want to come back to that because I wanted two parts. First, socialism. It's not working real well. Look around. It's not working real well. Now, I wanted that in there for a reason. Okay, look at Venezuela. Socialism is not working very well. Period. Okay, so hopefully, you know, people would see that part of the press conference that actually has a serious question that the Socialist of America, the Democrat Socialist Party, that is trying to sell you, which is Stacey Abrams here in Georgia, which is, I forget, the Gilliam in Florida, and so many other of these candidates that are socialist, all right? It's not working very well. Look around the world. That being said, now Jim Acosta at CNN. Before this, there are two males. There's Major Garrett gets a question. Major Garrett asks about the accusations from these women and Kavanaugh, all right? Then you have John Carl from ABC that goes on and on and on about, well, your accusers, okay. Then you have the socialism question, and then it comes to Jim Acosta at CNN, all right? And I know it's not easy on YouTube, but can we back that up to Acosta and play it from there? Because he's going to be the hero of the woman here. He's going to say, hey, why don't you take a question on this from a woman? Now, before we get that started up, because you see, today they want the 11, and when you read, if you will take the time to read Christine Blasey Ford opening statement today, she closes with, I was hoping to have 11 white guys. That's not a quote, but I was hoping to have the 11 white guys ask me questions. So Acosta's like, why won't you take a question from a woman on this? Why? Okay? Yeah, I mean, really jackass. But stay with that. I want to hear Acosta, and I want you to pay attention to Trump. Like, what's that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to mean? See, Trump's not dumb. They treat him as dumb, but I know what you're doing. What is that supposed to mean? Will I take a question from a woman? Sure I will. You know that. So play that again if you have that queued up. I'd like to get past the socialism part and get right to Acosta if we can get past that and play it right there. Not the socialism, right before he goes to Acosta, if we can do that and go ahead and play it.
Issue. So if you don't mind,
I wouldn't mind that at all. No, wouldn't mind it at all.
All right. Well, let me. If I
wouldn't make any difference to me.
All right.
Go ahead.
If I could follow up on John and John's question, why is it, Mr. President, that you always seem to side with the accused and not the accuser? You have three women here who are all making allegations, who are all asking that their stories be heard. And, you know, if you look at the case of Roy Moore, if you look at the case of one of your staffers, you seem to time and again side with the accused and not the accuser. Is that because of the many allegations that you've had made against you over the years?
Well, first of all, I wasn't happy with Roy Moore. Let's get that straight. But Roy Moore was a Republican candidate, and I would have rather had a Republican candidate win. I was very happy with Luther Strange, who was a terrific man from Alabama, but Luther Strange had a lot of things going against him. As far as women, whether it's a man or a woman, these are, you know, it can happen the other way. Allegations can go the other way also. You understand that. And whether it was a man or a woman, 30 years ago, 36 years ago, in fact, they don't even know how many years ago because nobody knows what the time is. That's a long time. And I could pick, as an example, Hopefully I won't have to do it as a replacement, because hopefully this is going to go very well on Thursday. It's going to go very well on Monday or Saturday or Sunday or whenever they vote. But I could pick a woman, and she could have charges made from many years ago also.
But don't you
And
understand,
I
sir,
would
that
look
many
at
of
the
these,
character.
many of
No,
these
what I have to
accusers
do.
are reluctant to come forward. You've raised doubts about these accusers. Many of them.
I don't think people are
come
reluctant to
forward.
come forward. They're going to have a chance to speak at a. They have a major
You're
chance to
saying
speak.
why 35 years
Excuse me.
later?
They have a major chance to speak, and it will be tomorrow, I assume. We've delayed this, meaning the Republican senators, not me. The Republican senators have delayed this for weeks now. They're giving the women a major chance to speak. Now, it's possible I'll hear that and I'll say, hey, I'm changing my mind. That is possible. We want to give them a chance to speak.
You think all three
and they're
should have the
given.
chance? All three should have the chance?
Well, whoever is given a chance. We've delayed it a long time, but they're going to have a big shot at speaking and making their case. And you know what? I could be persuaded also. Okay? Yes, please. Please, go ahead. Go ahead. I'd like to go. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. And a
Thank
couple
you.
of questions for you to follow up on some answers that I didn't quite hear from you, if you would allow me a couple of questions. First of all, do you think these women, all three of them, are liars? Yes or no?
Have they been what?
Are they liars?
I can't tell you. I have to watch tomorrow. I have to read. I just heard about one a little while ago. I can tell you her lawyer is a lowlife, okay? So I can't tell you whether or not they're liars until I hear them. I don't know what happened today because I've been very busy with Japan, with South Korea, with China, and about 7 other countries, as you know. And I chaired the Security Council. So I don't know about today's person that came forward. I do know about the lawyer. And you don't get much worse, bad reputation to take a look at his past. So as far as the other women are concerned, I'm going to see what happens tomorrow. I'm going to be watching. You know, believe it or not, I'm going to see what's said. So it's possible that they will be convincing. Now, with all of that being said, Judge Brett Kavanaugh has been for many years one of the most respected people in Washington. He's been on, I guess you'd call it, the second highest court. And every single person knows him. A lot of people know him well. And those people don't believe what's going on. I can always be convinced. I have to hear it.
It sounds like what you're saying is there is a situation, there is a scenario under which you would withdraw Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. Is that correct?
If I thought he was guilty of something like this, yeah, sure.
And you will wait until tomorrow to make up your mind?
I want to watch. I want to see. I hope I can watch. I'm meeting with a lot of countries tomorrow, but I will certainly in some form be able to watch. And I'll also rely on some very fair and talented Republican senators who, look, if we brought George Washington here and we said we have George Washington, the Democrats would vote against him, just so you understand. And he may have had a bad past. Who knows? You know, he may have had some, I think, accusations made. Didn't he have a couple of things in his past? George Washington would be voted against 100% by Schumer and the con artists. I mean, 100%, 100%. So it really doesn't matter from their standpoint. That's why when John asked about the FBI, if the FBI did the most thorough investigation in the history of the FBI and they found him to be 100% perfect, he would lose every single vote. Now, if the Republicans win tomorrow, I think you're going to get some votes from the Democrats. You know why? Because we all know why. Because it's called politics. Then you'll probably get some votes. Okay, let's go. One more question. Yes.
Just to follow
she stands up. I'd like to ask about 3 questions. It's not really fair to everyone else, but should I let her ask another question?
Follow up on.
Go ahead.
To follow up on a question that a colleague asked as well about the benefit of the doubt that you have given to people like Roy Moore, to Roger Ailes, to Bill O'Reilly, to Brett Kavanaugh. They're all men. Why is that?
It's not a benefit of the doubt.
Has there ever been an instance when you've given the benefit of the doubt
I've known
to a
them,
woman?
Haley, I've known them for a long time. And a lot of these people. A lot of people. And some I've been disappointed with. I have been disappointed with some. Others, there are charges that are pretty weak. But I've known people for a long time. I never saw them do anything wrong. I never saw them do anything wrong. And there are some that probably I agree. I can tell you there are some that I've been watching for a long time. And in a couple of cases, they weren't Republicans. In a lot of cases, they were not. They were exactly the opposite. But I've been watching them for a long time. And I knew for a long time these were not good people, and they were never brought up. Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first question. Mr. President, do you think these three women lied? I will answer that for him. Yes, I do. I think all three women are liars, period. Period. Here's what I think with the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is like a beautiful flower that you know the day it's going to blossom, and you're going to see it for all the beautiful beauty that it is, the full bloom of the Democrat Party. They are in full bloom crazy. Full bloom. I mean, that flower is opened all the way up in full bloom. The Democrats, I think, at this time have totally exposed themselves for the kind of crazy the American people do not want controlling this country. Let's go here because I got to take a brief break. We got to get set up for the live circus that will be taking place. Let's go to number 11. Okay, this is the New York Times. Number 11 here. Julie Swetnick is the third woman to accuse Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct. None of Ms. Swetnick's claims could be independently corroborated by the New York Times. They can't be. Okay, let's go to number 12. Number 12, the New York Times. In a culture of privilege and alcohol at Yale, her world converged with Kavanaugh's, okay? Now listen to this. This is Ramirez. This is Deborah Ramirez, the second accuser. Neither the New York Times neither the New Yorker nor the New York Times, which attempted to verify Ms. Ramirez's story last week, were able to find witnesses acknowledging the episode. Now, you keep hearing the liberal, crazy people asking if they should be heard. What should they be heard on? I mean, they make accusations. When you say, well, can a woman not make an accusation that, a witness is not necessary? Yes, probably. But these are all three accusations are things that there should be some corroboration of the event, not corroboration of the person telling somebody. Okay, let's go to number 13. New York Times. The women who have accused Brett Kavanaugh. In a letter, a woman said her daughter had witnessed Judge Kavanaugh drunkenly push her friend, a woman who he was dating, up against the wall very aggressively and sexually after they left a bar one night in 1998. This is all anonymous, said anonymous, said anonymous. And I'm going to tell you, I think Democrats today should ask Kavanaugh, when did you go straight? No pun intended, okay? When did you decide to stop doing drugs? When did you decide to sober up and clean up your life and turn into a husband with two little girls that coach basketball, works at the food pantry and in the soup kitchen and teaches and coaches basketball? When did you decide to go in the direction you have now, where you're very conservative as far as not your political views, but just you're a very conservative father, husband, and you're very guarded. You have a lot of self-control. When did you grab that self-control? I think that's the question that should be asked today. Let's go to number 14. Number 14, Ms. Swetnick accused Judge Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct at parties while he was a student at Georgetown Preparatory School in 1980. Ms. Ramirez, number 15. Ms. Ramirez said that during the 1983-84 school year at Yale University, when she and Judge Kavanaugh were freshmen, he exposed himself to her during a drinking game at a dorm party. And this is the opening. Go to number 18. This is the opening of CNN this morning, 5:02 a.m. Kavanaugh accusation, high stakes in Supreme Court hearing. Brett Kavanaugh now faces 5 allegations, 2 of them anonymous. Oh. Folks, we have seen the total destruction, the total bottom of the barrel of the media, the bottom of the barrel of what they will do. I mean, tabloid journalism at its lowest level between CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS. They're all at the bottom of the barrel of these fish. Let me go back to this now. Julie Swednicki, Julie Swednicki, sorry about that. In 2001, Miss Swednicki was the defendant in a domestic violence case filed by Richard Venesi in Miami-Dade, Florida. The case was dismissed after both of them failed to appear in court in March that year. Roughly a decade ago, now listen to this, roughly a decade ago, Mrs. Swetnick was involved in a dispute with her former employer, New York Life Insurance, over a sexual harassment complaint she filed. According to the people familiar with the matter, representing her in the complaint was a firm. The firm was run by none other than Deborah Katz, the lawyer representing Dr. Ford. The company ultimately reached a settlement with Miss Swetnick. The people said she was settled, according to some people. All right. She has had unpaid taxes, or still does. In 2017, the Internal Revenue Service filed a lien. In 2017, the Internal Revenue Service filed a lien on Miss Swetnick's Washington apartment for $40,303 in unpaid taxes and released it in March, saying the tax bill had been paid. Wall Street Journal. So we need to look into who maybe paid some of these bills. Look at the fact that she may need some money and may get paid off. Now, the Politico came out with a story that her attorney there, Michael Avenatti, ex-boyfriend, now Politico, now I don't credit Politico as being the best source in the world, but this is something that's being looked into. Ex-boyfriend filed restraint order against third Kavanaugh accuser. That's the one, Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' attorney, the lowest of the barrel, the porn star attorney. Julie Swetnick, the woman who accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and a friend of attending House parties, plural, where women, including herself, were sexually assaulted, had a restraining order filed against her years later in Miami by a former boyfriend. The Miami-Dade County Court docket shows a petition for an injunction against Swetnick was filed March 1st, 2001 by her former boyfriend, Richard Venesi, who told Politico Wednesday, the two had dated for 4 years before they broke up. 13 days later, the case was dismissed. Not long after the affidavit, now available to advance a fee, was filed. Affidavit of non-ability to advance fees were filed. According to, now this is according to her ex-boyfriend, Swetnick threatened him after they broke up and even after he got married to his current wife and child. Right after I broke up, here's a quote, right after I broke up with her, she was threatening my family, threatening my wife, and threatening to do harm to my baby at that time, he said in a telephone interview with Politico. I know a lot about her, he said. She's not credible at all. Not at all, he reiterated. So we can't find a single person to validate an act. You're watching evil. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna go through some notes that I took this morning, some things the president has said, and get ready because we're gonna be ready. I'm gonna come back for 5 minutes. We're gonna go and get set up because you don't need to go anywhere. Our YouTube channel and FYNTV will have the hearings live. So we'll be right back after these messages.